Okay, Tuesday, 30th of January 2024, day recap, trade review for the ES and NQ. Another shit trading day. Got so affected by yesterday's losses, just didn't think objectively at any part throughout the day. Missed a few trades in the morning, made it even worse. Ended up taking shit trades, compromising my trade location. And yep, overall, terrible day. Down 40-50 bucks or so, roughly 30 points or 20-25 points on the NQ. And that's that. But let's go with the plan first, what I had planned for the day, and then what all I fucked and how and why I did it. Regardless. So yesterday on Monday, ES broke to new all-time highs. It broke out of this beautiful three-day balance area. Massive squeeze. Very slow all throughout the morning. Absolute rip up late in the afternoon. And the plan today was very simple. So since the entire overnight basically consolidated within the top end of yesterday's range, the plan was simple. The singles area 94945 is basically a pivot. If we hold above, we go up to the yesterday's high, previous day's high, and then to 4960. And then if we come back below, and except underneath, we will go back and test this prior balance high breakout area. And that was that. There was no further plan up from here. It was either I go up from 4945 down for 4945, or if you were to open below and somehow come here or here. I was primarily looking for longs anywhere from 49.35 to 30 to begin with. So it's the breakout. That would have been a breakout readers of the previous reader range. And then this would have just closed the singles, and off we went after the test of it. Never really came. This one, only this level was in effect the entire trading day. But let's go with the NQ's plan first, why and what I had planned for the day, and what actually happened. So similar to ES, NQ also had an up day yesterday. Small ranging consolidation throughout the morning, started to break a little bit mid-afternoon, and then late afternoon it just went up, squeezed a lot of people as it went above the previous day's high, and that was the squeeze straight from 630 to almost 720ish. Decent 90 point worth something. And then again, just like ES, the plan was quite simple. It had a little bit more nuance to it. So basically, this is the supply zone that created this previous small lasting downtrend, to say, but it was strong enough to create a new trend, to change a wave at least for a little bit on a smaller time frame basis. Even though all the higher time frames still remain firmly in an uptrend, even with this, it was still a range in the weekly outlook, regardless. And then it broke this downtrend, went up massively, and then again overnight it was holding the singles area just like the ES. So the plan was basically simple. Again, this acts as a pivot above and underneath. Another nuance to it if the singles were to test before and hold, and then we were to reach the supply zone, I would have considered that as less key. But had we not tested the singles before and just straight up opened towards the top end here and tested the supply zone, I would still be looking for shorts in the first place against the prior day's high, overnight high, and the supply zone to at least test the singles. So that was this little bit of nuance that I had planned towards going towards this trading session. And then if we were to keep above the singles, I'm scalping until here and then assess what happens in this area. and then if we were to get below, I'm scalping until here, and then I was primarily looking for longs within the 630, 600 region. This is a little 15-minute demand zone that formed also a breakout of this previous high and the rip up yesterday. Closes the singles, so this is the area to protect, and also makes structural sense in the way test of the prior high forms kind of a double bottom, just of the double bottom pivot. So there was this important structural nuance to it, and then there was this little supply zone, but I was cognizant that if we were to accept below that rapidly and then spend time here, maybe this wouldn't be as valid because we are breaking key structure and changing shifts, things are shifting, closing all the singles, coming within yesterday's distribution, giving away all the trend. So even though I had this mark, I had it in mind. If it doesn't work quickly, it probably wouldn't work. Even though I had all the plans in my mind and pretty much what I planned happened, I obviously fucked it up big time. And for no good reason. And that's that. Anyway, let's go over the ES first. This is where I took the first trades. And then we'll go over the NQ after, which is where I took another trade in the afternoon and I lost on it. So ES pretty much looped underneath the singles half an hour before the open, 1 hour before the open, opened above it, ran straight past, came back, continuously holding the singles, spending a lot of time wicking it, but really not. There's no indication that it wants to go underneath. It's clearly holding. This is here where I take the first long, so I took 2 longs in here. The first one was here somewhere. So I take 1 long here. I assessed that it was holding. There was decent auto flow activity in terms of absorption going on there. And then I decided to take a long. Good trade. If anything, I hesitated a little bit, for which I got a late entry. So that's something I need to work on. So every time, so basically I have my stop area already defined. And every time the price actually comes closer to my stop area, I start second guessing. I start thinking, okay, maybe it will break, and instead of reducing my risk when I have the opportunity, and then instead of doing that when it goes up, and I'm like, oh, maybe it won't break, and I don't want to miss that, and then I get a point or two worth of extra. I add a point or two worth of extra risk and less reward, of course. So that's something I need to work on. Like, if I have my risk predefined and if I'm getting an entry closer to it, sure, maybe we'll lose. I can never know which trade will work, which trade will not. There's no need to know, and I cannot know. So if I have my stop predefined, if I have things in my favor, just take it. Because rather than losing 4 points on this trade, I would have just lost 2. And that would make all the difference in the long run. So that's something I really need to work on. Like, if I like what's happening, if I'm seeing things objectively, I can understand there's absorption, I can understand my level is holding. So then just go with the flow and take the best possible entry rather than getting scared and increasing your risk. Regardless, I took that entry. This very good, decent setup. No issues with taking it long, just apart from that little bit hesitation that I had. But regardless, there was heaps and heaps of selling at the lows, selling just above the singles, but it wasn't really getting any follow through. That was when I took long, and I get stopped out on this little wick. I do not really give any sort of breathing room behind the pivot, which is just how I operate. I do not have any stats for it. If I should leave more, if I should give more breathing room. So at this point of time, I do not, which is fine. I don't mind getting wigged out. And then I got wigged out, and then I waited a little bit, and then when it was holding again, that's when I decided to go long again. Again, it had even more selling here, and that did not get any sort of follow through. If you were to look on a 30-minute delta, the BP did had a negative 6K delta at one point, and then the spent CP that started, it had another negative 35K. That's a lot of selling at the lows. It's all at the lows, right, from 47, 48 until 45. So within this 2-3 point region, there's heaps and heaps of selling. Wasn't getting any follow through. And I could see that on the hard right edge. But I had yesterday's losses in my mind, kept running through those losses in my mind. How I had 4 losing trades out of 4 trades yesterday, and that was where I was starting to like get again in that area. Okay, I need a green trade. I don't want to lose anymore, and so instead of thinking in probabilities and that every single trade has an individual outcome, it's not dependent on a previous trade or the next trade. The outcomes are random. There's no way to know. Instead of having that correct mindset, I went in that area where I just wanted a green trade, and I definitely did not want a red trade, if not a green one. And that was where I got trapped in my head, even though everything was in my favor, like as many things as you could ask. There was just aggression missing, but then obviously if I wait for aggression, then where's the entry? So I had my plan. The trend had already changed once. This was the wick which I got out on after the first change, and then I re-entered before the second change, which is good because with this 12-point range, there is just no way to enter on the full change. So even though I had that backup, obviously neither did I enter it on the first change here because there's just no risk reward, even worse than 1-to-1. And I only had a 3-point worth of risk here, so the entry was good, even though I was again going through the head, like I could have had a point worth of better entry, but that thing again went in my head. Maybe it's breaking and then it doesn't break, and then I add an extra point to my risk, something I really need to work on. But what I did really bad here is like, obviously it was taking time, so it was really, really slow. The heaps of selling at the lows, it's getting all absorbed. But when I'm in the trade, I lose that objectivity, and I'm like, I don't want a red trade. Maybe break even, maybe something green, and it's taking some time. And yesterday I took a trade where I sat in for an hour and a half and took a 15-point loss on the NQ, and that thing's running through my mind like, I don't want to sit again for an hour or so and take a loss. And the correct mindset and the objectivity that all trades have an individual random outcome. They are statistically independent of each other, and it's only together when you put the entire process, the entire system together, are the results statistically reliable. And yeah, so I just ended up closing it for a 1-point gain here, basically break even. And 5 minutes after, it went to the target. The target was 49.60, but this would be the first target regardless. This previous high and this. So for 3 points worth of risk, I would have gotten at least 6 or 9 if I had here. Minimum 2-to-1, 3-to-1, something in that area. But obviously I just took it off for 1 point. And that's what I mean here. Cutting winner short and letting stops run. Not stops running in the way like I'm not having stop losses and they're just running forever, but always giving the stops their full due, but never giving my targets their full due. That's what I mean. Cutting winners short, letting stops run, and just hurting myself in the process by not following the fucking system in the process. And that was the only 2 trades that I took in the yesterday. Lost 4 points of 1, gained a point on 2, -3 altogether, just because I didn't want to have a red trade. And by all the amount that I wanted to save myself, I ended up hitting myself about the same amount. And then later in the day, went up to target, had a little liquidation break over top, decent amount of selling, but then again, it looked underneath the singles, couldn't get the overnight low, looked below the day's low. There was no business, there was no intention by anyone to close these singles underneath. And then it held again, and then there was again this random very strong bids that came in, just like as it's been happening over the past 2-3 days. I don't know if it's a random buy program or some sort. Like it just comes in straight up 1,000 lots, 800 lots, 500 lots, and these are massive bids. 3,300, 1,400, right at the lows. So somebody getting in at a good price relative to today's range, and then the people selling the breakout of the low or the breakdown of the low, and then all of this delta. Look at 2,700, -5, -1k, -6, -1k, -1k, like another 6-7k worth of delta right at the lows. Doesn't go anywhere, pops up, even gives a retest, and that's a beautiful trade. But at this point of time, I'm already fucked in the head. I've already made a mistake on the NQ, and I'm just taking a break because even though this was clear as day, the headspace that I was in, I would not have made it a good trade. I'm pretty certain of that. Even though it looks good in hindsight, it looked really good even in foresight. But even though they look good, doesn't mean that I would have made something good out of them. Just like I didn't do here, just like I didn't do in NQ. So, of course, looking back now, clear as day, this would have been another massive opportunity or good opportunity. Never end up taking it, and that's it. Not following the system, picking and choosing trades within my edge, and that doesn't work. You cannot pick and choose trades within your edge, because like I'm doing, I just pick up all the wrong ones, choose all the wrong ones, and then when I choose the right ones, I do something shady with them, regardless. That was my 2 trades on the yesterday. 3-point loss altogether, and then coming over to the NQ. So unlike ES, NQ was holding underneath at singles. It was holding above it throughout the overnight session, just like ES, but then it broke below before the opening, opened underneath the singles, tested them from underneath, and then it was not breaking. And then it held there for quite some time, so there was this little bit of divergence within the ES and the NQ. Not that it matters, but it was there. And then it was holding. There wasn't really anything order flow wise. There wasn't really anything telling that are we going up or are we going down, basically. But of course we are holding below, so like if we are holding below and we are not breaking it, probably test this as I laid out in my plan. If we are above and holding, we go there. If we are underneath and holding, we go here. That's what ended up happening. Obviously, I did not join because, again, I had my yesterday's losses in my head. And in trying to avoid losing again today, like I did yesterday, I did not take this trade. Yesterday I followed the system and it did not work, and today I said I wouldn't follow the system and today it worked. It's again the same thing as picking and choosing your edge, which is absolutely not a good idea. Anyway, clearly holding underneath. This is around 9:30. There was 10 a.m. jolts, so that was something I had another thing in my head. But then, even if I did not take it, that's okay. So this is the 10 a.m. news push. So it's hard to say. It's holding underneath, so I did have did have a valid entry, a valid trade there, which I did not take. Anyway, news was close. It's okay, I didn't take it. And then again, it comes right to the demand zone. It holds it right here, puts in an almost exhaustive negative 1700, closing at almost a negative 1000, pushed right into the demand zone towards the low, and it holds it again. And now this is a 10 o'clock candle, so this is around 10:05. It's still holding, and then there's plenty of time, plenty of opportunities here to go long. Again, there's not much that I can say about why I didn't go long here. It's me losing objectivity. It's me trying to avoid losses. It's me trying to find that extra bit of confluence, something almost like a holy grail that would say, okay, this is the green trade, and then I would take it. Obviously, that doesn't happen. That doesn't work. That is stupid. I ended up missing this one. So even though missing that was fine, it's close to news. I missed up this one. I didn't even take this here again. It's a valid entry. I should have taken. The risk is so low, and I did not take it. And then right now I'm in the headspace that, okay, yesterday I'm picking and choosing, and then I'm just doing shit. And then it comes, it clearly breaks through the zone that I am marked to take long from. And I'm just now looking back at it, I just feel so stupid. That is insane. That how can I even act in this way? Because even though if you're on the hard right edge, it doesn't really matter. You can see that the zone is entirely broken, and I took this long, and like there's absolutely no reason to go long here. Absolutely no reason. Structure has shifted. The demand zone have broken. This is an open area. This is not an area to go to place a trade at. And then it breaks further, comes closer to the zone, doesn't touch it. Not my trade. Now this is a demand breakdown kind of trade, which I again did not take. I'm not really in the headspace. I'm not trying to do anything at this point of time. I'm just letting it be. Regardless, this was a decent area, and then this I had in mind. This worked. Maybe I get stopped out here, and then again this works. It's the end of the day. There's so much of the system that works, but I just keep on picking and choosing to avoid those few or whatever amount of red trades that the system produces, which any system will, and it's just absolutely stupid of me to think that I can avoid those red trades, because in avoiding those red trades, I pick all the red trades and avoid all the green ones. And then even when the system has positive expectancy, I have negative expectancy. That was my shit trading day for the day. Really have been making these same mistakes for way too long now to be carrying on this nonsense. I'm going to assess this week how I perform and then make some solid changes, because this can't go on any longer. This is just absolutely atrocious. To take good trades and lose on them is absolutely fine, but to take shit trades like this is absolutely horrendous. To not take every single opportunity or every single trade is also fine. Can't be expecting to take every single opportunity, but to take trades like this, compromising on trade location, compromising on the plan, that is absolutely disgusting. That is horrendous. That is inexcusable. Anyway, hopefully on to a better trading day tomorrow. And that's it for today.